A blessed morning to everyone. My name is Charmaine Shanina B. Demenli from Palawan State University, PSU Picat Cuyo Campus. This morning, I will be presenting my paper entitled Assessment of Tourist Destination Potential of Cuyo Islands, Inputs to Developing an Integrated Tourism Development Plan. In this slide, I'm showing you the exact location of Cuyo Islands in the Philippine map. So it's in between the Palawan mainland and Panay Island. The significant role of the tourism industry in a country's economy has been recognized in the global setting. The Philippine Statistics Authority reported that tourism is one of the main contributors to the growth of the Philippine economy, specifically its gross domestic product. Compared to other countries in Southeast Asia, however, the tourism industry of the Philippines is still way behind its ASEAN neighbors. In 2018, for example, the country only attracted 7.1 million foreign visitors or tourists. Since the Philippines has a unique archipelagic feature and it has some of the best beaches in the world, there are several islands that could be further developed by the local governments, particularly Palawan Island, the southwesternmost large island of the Philippines that is home to beautiful beaches, underground rivers, lagoons, parks, and other tourist destinations. Other island municipalities around Palawan could become some of the country's premier destinations since Palawan is one of the priority gateway clusters under the Department of Tourism's development plan. At present, most of the tourism activities are in mainland Palawan and nearby islands. In previous years, the local governments of Cuyo and Magsaysay only focused on other community programs, neglecting tourism development. As a takeoff point, this study was conducted to assess the current tourism situation in Cuyo and Magsaysay and to be able to provide inputs to an integrated tourism development plan for these two municipalities comprising one island in Palawan. Specifically, it is possible that some other parts of northern Palawan, like Cuyo Island, could become a full blast tourist destination that could be added to the list of tourist destinations similar to the islands of Bakit Bay in the municipality of El Nido. For the research gap, majority of the literature about tourism destinations are pivoted towards measuring and analyzing attractiveness. Also, only a few studies are dedicated to assessing small island tourism. Much is left to discover about whether physically far-flung islands can be or become attractive tourist destinations. Therefore, there is a need to address this gap in this study. This study may also open significant opportunities for Koyu Islands to become a tourist destination. However, these initiatives cannot begin until a survey of the present conditions of the area has been identified. Also, there is no current study on the assessment of tourist destination potential in Cuyo Islands, and the local governments of Cuyo and Magsaysay may also use this study as inputs in developing their tourism development plans. Thus, this gap became the focal point of this study. So, for the objectives of the study, this study assessed the tourist destination potential of Cuyo Islands to aid in developing an integrated Cuyo tourism development plan. It was conducted in 2020 to develop a better understanding of the current situation of the tourism aspects in Cuyo and assess its potential to be the next tourism destination in the province of Palawan. The following are the specific objectives of this study. First one is to identify the places of tourist interest in the municipalities of Cuyo and Magsaysay in terms of uniqueness, natural beauty, historical value, accessibility, availability of basic utilities, availability of on-site facilities, ownership of property, and quality of surroundings. Second is to assess the current situation in terms of accessibility, accommodations, and attractions. Number three is evaluate the potential for Kuyu Islands to become a tourist destination by providing inputs for developing an integrated tourism development plan utilizing the SWOT analysis matrix. And lastly is to present the study results to the local governments of Kuyu and Magsaysay, particularly to the local tourism offices.
Several theories have been proposed to assess tourist destinations, and some in the context of motivation, others on the behavioral patterns of tourists in selecting destinations. This research is based mainly on assessing tourist destination potential from the perspective of tourism key stakeholders. The model developed by Ritchie and Crouch in 2003 for the development of the tourism destination is by far the most detailed and empirically developed. Following this model, the primary resources and attractive forces are based on the following factors: climatic conditions, natural features, scenery, culture, history, festivities, programs, entertainment facilities, religion, cultural heritage, and the structural elements of tourism, including lodgings, hotels, theme parks, and so on. From the perspective of a destination's competitiveness and success, the next phase is about the management of destinations that serves a specific function. The key components belong to the field of tourism duties, which focus on practical standards, namely organization, service quality, marketing duties, pieces of information, and research. Ritchie and Crouch's subsequent and even improved model could most accurately explain the competitive advantage of a destination. It also evaluates various territorial segments for the possibility of assessing a destination. Below is the SWOT matrix that was used in the analysis of the potential of Kuyu Islands as a tourist destination. So analysts have preferred to use SWOT analysis to kickstart the strategic planning process, according to Warren in 2002. The analysis of tourism attractions, infrastructure, services, and other supporting factors were assessed and used as inputs to the SWOT analysis conducted with participation from the various stakeholders. It also provided the results that were incorporated with other data gathering methods to determine the inputs to a tourism development plan for Cuyo and Magsaysay. This tool may look easy at first, as it simplifies a rather complex tourism situation, but categorizing the variables can be a challenge.
For the methodology, the study employed the descriptive action design of research to determine the potential of tourism aspects in Cuyo Islands as a tourist destination, and the participation from the stakeholders in formulating the strategies made this study and action research. Likewise, the SWOT analysis was utilized in determining the level of tourist destination potential of Cuyo Islands. Purposive sampling was also employed. Purposive sampling was also employed since first-hand knowledge from key people was necessary for this study. A key informant interview, site evaluation, and survey questionnaire of key informants with first-hand knowledge of the topic under research were used to collect primary data. A SWOT analysis was also used to obtain the inputs from the stakeholders during a workshop. These are the findings and conclusions revealed in this study. Based on site evaluation, the top three places of interest identified are Kapusan Beach, Cuyo Fort, and Kota. Based on the assessment of service providers and tourists, Cuyo Islands have a high potential as a tourist destination. Cuyo Islands are moderately accessible in terms of boat schedules, accommodations, are highly available in terms of available basic accommodation facilities, clean water supply, electricity, and presence of food establishments, and attractions are highly available in terms of the presence of natural attractions and heritage sites. Based on SWOT analyses, the presence of top three tourist spots, which are the Kapusan Beach, Cuyo Fort, and Kota, is considered as strengths of Cuyo Islands. These spots are ideal for water sports activities. They are near to town proper and there are available accommodation facilities. The weaknesses of Cuyo Islands are poor services in accommodation, specifically the telecommunication and internet reception, unavailability of air travel and irregular boat services. The surrounding islands are far to reach and there is lack of LGU prioritization and support. The opportunities found are the expansion of offered activities, growth in tourism demand, the potential of the East Asian market, the trend in sustainability awareness, and local employment. Threats include potential or existing competitors' domestic terrorism, mass terrorism, economic downturn, and socio-cultural and environmental concerns. Introducing sustainable tourism products such as unique tour packages, adventures and cruises, destination branding such as kiteboarding, cultural tourism, and or education tourism are among the strategies formulated in the SWOT matrix during the workshop with stakeholders. There is also a need for market penetration and increased publicity efforts by allocating funds for advertising the island to the domestic market, product development and improvement of existing services by forming public-private partnership with telco companies and other potential investors. All of this contributes to a better overall image through IT and internet presence, as well as increased visitor pleasure through greater government involvement. The local governments of Cuyo and Magsaysay affirmed the high potentiality of Cuyo Islands during the presentation of the results, and they will consider the recommendations given by the researcher to better develop the islands as a tourist destinations.
For the conclusions, Cuyo Islands have natural attractions ranging from beaches, mountains, lagoons, islands, and islets. There are also heritage sites that can be found on the island. However, these attractions remain underdeveloped. The reason for that was the availability of basic utilities and on-site facilities. Cuyo Islands needs to develop the top tourist spots based on the standards of the Department of Tourism and maintain a management plan that will be executed effectively while remaining them open to the new challenges that may arise. Despite the fact that Cuyo Islands have some weaknesses, such as accessibility, there are ways to address them with the help of the local authorities. What's more important is that Cuyo Islands were identified as having a high potential as a tourist destination as a result of the stakeholders and researchers' combined efforts during the workshop. Cuyo Island's natural beauty stems from their abundant natural resources, which would just require infrastructural improvements and the addition of new services and amenities to suit tourist demands. It is also worth mentioning the insights from the stakeholders during the workshop, especially the telecommunication problem in the area. Tourist experience could also be enhanced if there is a stable and reliable internet connection.
For the recommendations, the researcher recommends that the local governments of Kuwait and Magsaysay focus on developing their natural attractions in the respective areas. Also, the presence of historical sites could encourage other types of travelers. Therefore, culture and heritage tourism could also be added or an added attraction to making Cuyo Islands more appealing to potential visitors. Number two, accessibility is the main hindrance to the success of the tourism area. Thus, it is recommended that the local government of Cuyo and Magsaysay enter a public-private partnership with airline companies to improve the transportation on the island. Cuyo Islands, number three, Cuyo Islands must promote its primary and most unique attraction, which can be kiteboarding. It can brand itself as the kiteboarding destination in Asia. The researcher further recommends collaboration between the LGUs and telecommunication companies to boost internet connectivity on the island. The availability of the internet is one of the factors that tourists consider when they travel, and this may also influence their satisfaction. Cuyo Islands could also attract more visitors if the local governments of Cuyo and Magsaysay improve its existing facilities because government intervention is necessary for tourism development. Since there is a high potential for Cuyo Islands. The researcher recommends the local governments of Cuyo and Magsaysay to take this opportunity to develop Cuyo Islands as a tourist destination. So the infrastructure and basic amenities, particularly the transportation and accommodations, need to be improved to essentially sustain tourism on the islands.
So here are the references that were cited in this study.
So that's the end of my presentation in behalf of Palawan State University, Picat Cuyo Campus, or inner language, Matamang Salamat. Thank you so much for listening.